Chapter 4. Another visit to Miss Havisham's house. As time passed, Miss Havisham became more talkative with me. She began to ask about my education and what I planned to become. I told her I would soon start an apprenticeship with Joe. I also said I knew very little but wanted to learn everything, hoping she might help in some way, but she didn't. She offered no guidance and gave me nothing except my daily meal. Things continued like this for a while without any real change. Then one day, while we were walking, Miss Havisham paused, leaned on me and said, "You're getting taller, Pip." Her tone was gloomy and displeased. The next time I came, she asked, "Tell me again the name of your blacksmith." "Joe Gargery, ma'am. He's the one you're going to apprentice under." "Yes, Miss Havisham." "You should begin your apprenticeship immediately. Would Gargery come here with you and bring your indentures?" I said he would take it as an honor to be asked. "Let him come soon and come along with you." That evening I gave Joe her message. Joe dressed himself in his Sunday clothes to accompany me to Miss Havisham. When we arrived, Estella opened the door. Joe respectfully removed his hat, but Estella ignored us and led the way to Miss Havisham's room. "Oh, Miss Havisham said to Joe, "you're married to this boy's sister." Joe, looking very out of place, stood silently with his mouth open. When she repeated the question, he began to speak, but to my embarrassment he addressed me instead of Havisham. "Have you brought his indentures with you?" asked she. Joe took them out of his hat and handed them, not to Miss Havisham, but to me. I'm afraid I was ashamed of the dear good fellow when I saw Estella smirking. "You aren't expecting a fee for taking the boy, are you?" Miss Havisham asked. "Pip," Joe said. "You know the answer's no, Pip, so there's no need for me to say it." Miss Havisham looked at him closely, as if realizing that he was a better man than he appeared. She picked up a small bag from beside her. "Pip has earned something here," she said. "Here it is, 25 guineas. Give this to your master, Pip." Joe persisted in addressing me, and instead of thanking Miss Havisham, he said, "That's very liberal of you, Pip, and I thank you for it. Now, old fellow, let's both do right by each other." "Goodbye, Pip," said Miss Havisham. "Let them out, Estella." "Am I to come again, Miss Havisham?" I asked. "No. Gargery is your master now. Gargery, just a word. The boy has been good, and this is his reward. You're an honest man, so you'll expect no more." 'Tis a terrible feeling to be ashamed of your home. It had never been a joyful place for me, largely because of my temper, but Joe had sanctified it. Within a single year all had changed. Now it felt rough and ordinary, and I couldn't bear the thought of Miss Havisham or Estella seeing it. It no longer matters whose fault this change of heart was, mine, Miss Havisham's, or my sister's. The change had happened, whether it was right or wrong. One day I told Joe I felt I should visit Miss Havisham. "What for, Pip?" Joe asked. "She might think you are after something more." After a lot of discussion, Joe granted me a half holiday the next day. Joe now employed a journeyman named Oleg, stubborn and unfriendly, who saw me as a rival. When Joe agreed to my half day, Oleg demanded one too. An argument broke out, and my sister furiously scolded Joe. "You fool, giving holidays to great idlers like that," she said. "I wish I was his master." "You're a nasty woman, Mother Gargery," said Oleg. "Let her alone," cried Joe. "I'd hold her under the pump and choke out her temper," said Oleg, "if she were my wife." My sister screamed, and suddenly Joe and Oleg clashed like titans. But Joe was too strong. Oleg collapsed, just like that pale young gentleman once had, and then all was calm. I left for my visit. This time Miss Sarah Pocket opened the gate. Estella wasn't there. I hadn't seen her since Miss Havisham's birthday. The house was the same, and Miss Havisham was alone. "Well," she said, "I hope you are not here expecting anything. You'll get nothing." "No, Miss Havisham, I only came to say that my apprenticeship is going well, and I shall always remain much obliged to you." "Are you looking for Estella?" she asked. I stammered, saying that I hoped she was well. "She's gone abroad for education, far away and even more beautiful. Do you feel her loss? Come again on your birthday." She dismissed me without another word. The gate was locked behind me. It was very dark as I walked home. At the toll gate I met Oleg and we walked together. As we passed the Jolly Bargeman, we saw people gathered in alarm. "Something's happened at your place, Pip," said Mr. Wopsle. "Run." The house seemed to have been violently entered in Joe's absence. Our house was full of people. The whole village seemed there. My sister had been attacked. My sister was lying on the ground without sense or movement, where she had been knocked down by a tremendous blow on the back of her head. She lay unconscious on the floor, struck with a heavy blow to the head. Nothing had been stolen, but beside her was a convict's iron leg chain, filed through long ago. I felt horrible to think that I had provided the weapon, though unknowingly. My sister stayed bedridden and speechless. She used a slate to write, but her spelling was poor and Joe couldn't read well, which led to confusion. About a month later, Biddy, Mr. Wopsle's great-aunt's granddaughter, came to live with us. She was a blessing. Joe had been silently heartbroken, but Biddy took charge. She immediately understood my sister's needs, cared for us kindly, and helped us all. She quickly figured out that my sister wanted to see Oleg and brought him in. Oddly, my sister now wanted to be on friendly terms with him. Biddy, though, proved the perfect caregiver. Imperceptibly, I noticed changes in Biddy. Her clothes were simple but clean, her shoes worn but neat, and her hair tidy. She wasn't beautiful like Estella, but she was sweet, gentle, and intelligent. Her eyes were thoughtful and kind and pretty. One Sunday afternoon, Biddy and I went out for a walk together. "Biddy," said I want very badly to become a gentleman." "You know best, Pip," she replied. "But don't you think you'd be happy as you are?" "No, Biddy," I said impatiently. "I'm not happy. I am disgusted with my profession and with my life. I shall be miserable unless I lead a very different sort of life from the one I lead now." "That's a pity," said Biddy, shaking her head sorrowfully. "See how dissatisfied and uncomfortable I am growing, coarse and common. If nobody had told me so," I said. "Who said it?" asked Biddy, looking directly at me. I could not hold back and told her everything. The beautiful young lady at Miss Havisham's. I admitted that I admired Estella and wanted to become a gentleman for her. "Do you want to be a gentleman to suit her, or to win her over?" Biddy asked quietly. "Because if it is to spite her, then it is better to ignore her words, and if it is to gain her, then she is not worth it." Biddy was the wisest girl I knew. Her work-worn hand touched mine gently, and it felt comforting. "Biddy," I said, putting my arm around her and giving her a kiss, "I'll always share everything with you." "Until you become a gentleman," she replied. As we walked home, I thought it would be very good for me if I could get Estella out of my head with all the fancies. Then I could go to work with relish and make the best of it. If Estella were beside me, she'd only make me unhappy. Everything Biddy said seemed so right. Biddy would wound her heart first rather than mine. Why didn't I love her more than Estella? "If I could just fall in love with you, Biddy, it would be the best thing for me. You don't mind me saying that, do you?" "But you never will," said Biddy simply. On our way home, we saw Oleg. He made a rude comment I disliked. Strangely, Biddy also didn't trust him and suspected he had something to do with the attack on my sister. My thoughts were tangled. I knew Biddy was better than Estella. I knew there was nothing shameful about the simple, honest life I was born into. That life could give me dignity and peace. If I could only hold on to that, perhaps I wouldn't feel so ashamed of Joe or the forge anymore.